So every time I see the brand Kiwi Ears, they always remind me of Zespri and their nice hairy balls of kiwi. I mean the real fruit. I've always liked the gold ones as they are a bit more delicious compared to the green or red varieties. Today we have a brand new one from Kiwi Ears, the Quartet. So Kiwi Ears always have an orchestra classical music theme to their naming conventions, and the Quartet is no different. The Quartet here basically means 4 instruments or voices. In this case, in the Kiwi Ears Quartet, it refers to the 4 drivers used per side of IEM. Props to them for having such a naming convention. It is quite interesting. So the Quartet comes in a nice small little box with a purplish color. Looking at the Kiwi Ears logo here, it really does remind me of Zespri for some reason. Now opening up the box, the first thing you see are the IEMs itself. The IEMs are made of resin this time round and are in a boring custom universal shape. It features swirly-whirly purple and black on its most prominent faceplate, as well as the chassis of the IEM itself. The chassis itself is rather light feeling, but I think that it's kinda good in the realm of resins. Listening to these on long hours isn't too much of an issue. So on the chassis itself, it's a switch that allows you to tweak the sound of the IEM. Basically, a mid-bass boost and a treble switch. You can actually tune them to a variety of combinations depending on your taste. It features a 2-pin termination and is paired with a simple black twisted cable that ends off with the common 3.5mm jack. Cable provided here is quite decent. These are made from silver-plated copper. It isn't all that microphonic. All in all, not spectacular but pretty decent. Inside the chassis of the IEM houses a quartet of drivers, 2 balance armatures and 2 dynamic drivers. One of the balance armature to handle the ultra-high frequencies while the other deals with the mid-highs. The dynamic drivers here are of titanium and are in an isobaric configuration. Each of these drivers have their own independent magnetic circuit. Fit on the Quartet are pretty good. They are light and comfortable, but with a boring shape. The cable provided here is also pretty serviceable. Easy to use these hours on end. I mean, really, the custom universal S shape has been proven to kinda work, although boring. Now next, moving to sound, the Quartet is a V-shaped IEM and as such have an elevated bass response that transitions to a slightly recessed mid-range. Treble is also a bit more prominent. I do find them quite well balanced for the most part. Personally, my favorite switch combination would be down on the bass and up on the treble. The switches do make a difference, but I don't think that it changes too much of the overall character of the IEM too much. Now with that said, I won't really classify these as bass head IEMs, just normal V-shaped IEM. In terms of detail, I found that the Quartet to be okay, which is reasonable considering its price. They do have a slightly warm character which makes them quite fun and casual to listen to. Bass. I feel the bass on the get-go without the switch turned on is more than adequate for me. With the switch turned off, the bass has good texture with adequate details to keep it balanced with the rest of the other frequencies. Details in the bass section is also pretty adequate. I rather enjoy its tonality. Bass remains quick and tight here. On certain days when my mood is right, I'll turn the bass switch on for a bit for more low-end power. But with the switch turned on, it trades the tightness of bass for quantity. So mid-range, it is a little recessed on the Quartet. It still has a slight warmth embedded in its tone with all the switches turned off. It has an overall smooth character to the mid-range, but I do think that they are not as smooth as its older sibling, the Orchestra lites. But I won't say that they have a full balance armature tone either. I do find that the separation between the bass and mid-range can be better, and as such, I left the treble switch on for most of the time as it allows the mid-range to have a bit more of an edge for vocals and instruments that reside there to have better quality. Details wise, they are decent, but I do think that the competition here can render details quite a bit better. Treble extension on the Quartet is decent. The shimmer that you get with the crashes could be a bit more prominent to me as they tend to sizzle out a bit too fast. These are great for people who are sensitive to treble that have a bit more radiance. It is also a very polite rendering of treble. Things do improve with the treble switch turned on though, and it does make the crashes and cymbals sound a bit more prominent. I do not find the Quartet to be airy, and the sense of space created by the higher treble isn't that prominent. Moving on to Soundstage, when it comes to width and height, vertical and horizontal staging are both average at best with the Quartet, perhaps the size of a small jazz club. Depth and positioning Positioning and depth is quite middling as well. I think this is as the separation between the instruments can be a bit better, an issue that arises from the overall smooth nature of the Quartet. Of course, next moving to comparisons. So versus the Simgot EA500, I do find that the Simgot EA500 to be of greater resolution and has better staging prowess compared to the Quartet. It is just clearer on the EA500. I do feel that the EA500 is technically superior. But there will be people who are sensitive to the upper mid-range of the EA500, as it can be a little hot for some people. For those folks, then perhaps the more polite Quartet can be an option, as it is generally smoother and easier to listen to. Versus the Truthear Hexa. Now the Hexa here emphasizes the sub-bass a bit more than the Quartet. I do feel that the Quartets have a better treble extension as compared to the Hexa. Personally, between the two, I do find that the Quartets are a bit more musical compared to the Hexa. For me, when the Quartet has the treble switch on, it creates more of an edge in the mid-range, making it more interesting to listen to. And finally, in conclusion, I do think that the Quartet is a highly competent piece of earphones, perfect for folks who are a bit more sensitive to upper mids. That can be quite sibilant for some people. I think that if you're looking to do some stage monitoring, its polite and smooth nature will allow you to use them longer on stage, as it generally isn't too fatiguing to listen to. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Supercharged Super Audio Show. This week we covered the Quartet. I am probably on my trip right now, so I hope the updates will be a bit more sooner and more rapid. I have some videos already scheduled. Yeah, if you like the content so far, please kindly press the like and subscribe button somewhere right here down below. It will help me out a huge bunch, and I hope to see you guys soon. So anyways, if I'm on this trip and you so happen to see me wherever I'm going, please drop by to say hi. I always like to meet new people. If that's it, see you guys soon.